There it is. Nice and touchy shot. Oof, that was nice. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We are out here doing some disc reviews. Just did one on the Sidearm Slammer, so if you guys haven't checked that out, make sure that you do. But now we are going to be talking about the Dynamic Discs Culprit. Okay, so I've only thrown this literally once to test it out. So we're gonna be out here seeing how this thing flies and see if it's a disc that I would like to put in my bag. First off though, I know that a lot of you guys want to know about the profile and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about that real quick. So we don't currently know the numbers on the Culprit, I don't believe, but it is going to be a mid-range that has a very small micro bead that you guys can see right there. It's not too deep of a disc either, so if you have smaller hands or bigger hands, you should be able to throw this disc exactly like you want to. It is pretty flat, as you can see, and it has a nice little curve all the way around that honestly feels really, really good on the side of your fingers as you grip it. I'm excited to throw this, see how it feels. It already feels really, really good in the hand. I can get a good grip on it and hold it really, really nice, and it stays secure in my hand with no real gaps at all. So I believe what they're saying about this disc is that it's going to be a little bit slower and a little less stable than a Justice. Now I know you might think, oh, well that sounds like the Harp. I think it's in between those two. But we're gonna throw it today. We're gonna see how we like it. It does feel really, really good in my hand. A little more shallow than the Sidearm Slammer that I was reviewing earlier. At least that's how it feels. So this is just gonna be a step up, I imagine, in my bag from the Sidearm Slammer. So we're gonna throw this one and see if we can push it out a little bit further. I will still probably use it for very similar shot shapes. Pretty much like what I do with the Justice currently, but I think that this one will go a little bit further than the Justice for me. So let's give it a couple throws. Gonna give it a little bit of Anhyzer and have it track down the right side and then end up down towards the right. Ooh, okay. So not as stable as I would have thought on the sidearm. So the basket is down on the right, maybe about 150 feet or so. So we're gonna take these and throw them pretty much flat, because I realized off of the tee there, this isn't really gonna be the type of disc that I'll sidearm off the tee. I might backhand it off the tee, and we'll get to that in just a second. But when it comes to sidearms, I think this is more gonna be an approach, like 200 feet or so, maybe 50 feet past that Sidearm Slammer range where I don't want to just power up on it. So I think that's the slot that this is going to feel. So let's give this a shot. Really nice and smooth. We can probably still get a flex out of it since we're not going to be powering it up. Okay, so we powered down a little bit too much on it there, but you could see the flight on that. So after messing around with the disc a little bit, I think what I would personally use it for is big Anhyzers for sidearm. Even though it is overstable, it tends to hold them, doesn't turn over, which is good. It'll hold it and then it'll land soft or even come back out of that flight at the end. And then for backhands, I feel like you can just rip it straight. So let me show you what I'm talking about with these Anhyzer sidearms. So that's sick. If you were to throw a Justice or something like that, you wouldn't be able to necessarily achieve that shot without a lot more power and a lot more angle. This is just a really easy snap of the wrist and you can get it to go. Hold that Anhyzer for a while and then land really, really nice. So we want this to hug the trees on the right and just hold that Anhyzer until it runs out of speed and settles down. Look at that. You can really, really work this thing through the woods because it'll hold that understable line going on that Anhyzer, but then it stables out and comes back to the right at the end of its flight. I love throwing shots like that, and this disc is perfect for it. So as I'm throwing this disc more, it's starting to feel, to me personally, at least on sidearms, like a more stable EMAC truth. Because EMACs, you guys know, I love throwing those on Anhyzers and letting them come back, and this can do the same thing, but sometimes the EMAC will hold that line and continue going left. This one almost always comes back. So that's kind of how it feels to me right now in regards to the sidearm shots. That's a perfect touch shot. That's probably right down by the basket, about 200 feet away. Maybe even a little bit more. Ah, that one was gonna really push if I hadn't hit that twig. I like it. It took a little bit of time for me to work with it and start feeling it and see how it flies. It's a very touchy disc, I can say that. Like when it comes to the Sake Bomb Slammer that I reviewed earlier, that one's touchy, but it's a little bit more forgiving because it is more overstable. This disc is super touchy. Your angle control needs to be good on it, but man, the thing about touchy discs is they can be difficult to throw, but once you learn them, you can achieve shots that you wouldn't be able to achieve with other discs. And I feel like that's the culprit. So as I mentioned before, for me, I think that this is gonna be like a touch, step out, sidearm shot. We're probably about 120 away here. The Sake Bomb Slammer would be a little bit too stable for this shot, but I honestly think at low speeds we should be able to execute this in a pretty good way, starting off with an Anhyzer and then stabling out at the end down there. Oh, that was a run. So we're gonna throw this down. We want it to hold Anhyzer about 50% of the way and then stable up down towards the basket. Oh, that was gonna be it. I even threw that one a little bit hard. There it is. Nice and touchy shot. Oof, that was nice. Yeah, that one worked out well. All right, so this is a 360-foot hole. Obviously, I'm not throwing this thing 360 feet, but I am going to just try and give it a good rip here so y'all can see how it flies. I'm gonna aim down the left with a little bit of Annie and some power. See if we can get a nice full flight out of it. Oh yeah, that flies nice. What? I hit a tree. That was a really nice flight though. There we go. That wasn't bad. All right, so overall, I enjoy the Culprit. I think for me, it'll be more of a touchy approach shot disc from maybe 200 feet that I can work. It's got a nice low profile. Almost feels like a mixture between like a slow fairway driver and a mid-range, at least in my hand, which I actually like, kind of like the Verdict. I would say that it feels like a more overstable EMAC in regards to kind of its feel in my hand at least. And I love that. You guys know that I love touchy shots with the EMAC Truth as approach shots. So I enjoyed the disc. You guys let me know how y'all feel about the Culprit down below, and if you think it's a disc that just might make your bag. See you guys in the next one.